Whoa, what's gotten into you? The girl blushed as she smiled sheepishly. I don't know.
She wrapped her arms around his neck and pulled herself up until their lips melted against each other again. She smiled gently as she stared unflinchingly into his eyes when she withdrew for breath. I don't know.
And then they were gone in a red flash.
Naruto blinked in shock as they reappeared much farther away with him lying on his back while his sister straddled his waist. Kasumi had teleported more than 10 times within a second. Damn, I just realized that this technique is much faster than Kamui. Kasumi grinned self-consciously at him as she pulled her top over her head. Is this okay? The half-demon just grinned as Yoki began flowing into his veins at the sight of the most beautiful girl he had ever been with undressing willingly for him. Yeah, it's fine. More than fine.
She leaned down once more as their lips connected in a rough kiss. The blonde couldn't help moaning into their connection as one of her soft hands slid under his shirt to rest against his chest. Her soft lips and tongue were much too delicate to actually be rough to kiss. But the girl still tried her best.
It was only so long before Naruto lost control and flipped them over, tearing the rest of her dress off with his claws. The girl broke into giggles but wrapped her legs around him before they resumed kissing again. Moderately long red nails dug into his back as she pulled him closer into her.
They were both left gasping for breath after a few minutes, and not for the first time Naruto found himself comparing his sister to the other girls he'd been with. Her kisses were so much more passionate and filled with love, much softer and more welcoming than anyone else. He groaned as her nimble tongue massaged his strong one with skill she'd been rapidly gaining each time they locked lips. Goodness, she's a damn fast learner. It's like she's been doing this all her life. I wonder if she practices with her shadow clones. He chuckled as the rather erotic thought of two Kasumis kissing each other filtered through his brain. That would be something worth watching.
He felt QB nod in agreement, an odd occurrence given she mostly remained silent when he was intimate with any of his life partners. It was something the Demon Queen found herself uncomfortable with, but it seemed like she was slowly getting used to it. He didn't have the time to ponder on that much further as sharp blades of water started ripping his clothes, or tried to. He'd reinforced his Anbu armor and clothing with quite a few reinforcement seals so nothing short of an A- rank technique could really dent it, hence Kasumi was left pouting cutely. She could easily produce enough power to shred them, but that would have been a waste now that she knew her brother had spent time enhancing them.
The blonde grinned at the cute pouting face of his twin as she got off of him to let him take his clothes off. It took him barely a minute, much to Kasumi's relief. This time her approach was much more delicate as she wrapped her arms around his neck and pressed her soft, delicate lips firmly against her brother's.
The redhead broke their kiss a few seconds later and looked into his eyes. I know you'll be doing this with some other girl in the future, but I want your best moments to be with me, is that okay, Oni-chan?
Naruto gave her a gentle smile. It's more than okay. Thank you.
The half-demon groaned as soft nimble fingers wrapped around his length and began stroking him. There was a heat in his sister's gaze right then, a heat that had been much milder every other time they'd been together. Was it lust he saw? Kasumi hadn't really ever shown lust for him. Always love, always an approval for his actions, a soft welcoming embrace for his desires. The warm loving gaze he was used to from his sister's eyes were now replaced with a smoldering heated look that made him shudder in anticipation and reciprocated lust.
Kasumi rolled them over with surprising strength from her delicate-looking body. Her enticing heat pressed against his balls as she pressed on top of him, stroking his length gently with his tip, rubbing against her smooth belly. He shuddered as the girl pressed the tip against her belly button and rubbed his length up and down faster. A spurt of pre-cum shot from his tip, entering her belly button, as the twins shuddered at the strange but welcome sensation. For a moment, Naruto almost lost control and made up his mind to shove his entire length in there, but realized it would be rather impossible. given the depth of that particular orifice was no more than a centimeter or two. The blonde let his hands roam free as they groped and explored the gorgeous female offered to them, while Kasumi's lips pressed against his neck, an action that he had often performed on her. For a moment he wondered if she would bite him like he did to her every time he did this. Would she be as thirsty for his blood as he was for hers? That question was answered with a no when the redhead pressed her lips against his own again. "It's a demon thing, Naruto-kun. She probably won't feel any pleasure drinking your blood like you do."
Naruto just hummed in response, too busy enjoying how Kasumi's lower lips parted along the length of his shaft as she rubbed herself against it, how her silky skin and soft breasts felt against his sensitive tip, and how her nimble tongue and fingers pleasured his mouth and body.
He groaned as Kasumi broke the kiss and started trailing her lips down, kissing his neck and all over his chest. He anticipated that skillful mouth and soft lips and tongue pleasuring his dick next, but to his surprise Kasumi arched her back and pulled up again, pressing his tip against her sex. Naruto blinked as he realized that she was rushing. "Wait, Kasumi, there's not enough." She shushed him with a finger against his lips. "Sorry, Onami-chan, I can't wait anymore. Tell me if it hurts you."
Naruto blinked. It wasn't him that was going to be hurt in penetrating her, it was her. And then she pushed downwards, gritting her teeth to keep the scream in, making Naruto groan at the amazing tightness and resistance her body showed against his entry. His tip was slick with pre-cum, so it slid inside her hot body, and any resistance he might have had melted right there as he gripped her butt with both hands roughly and started pushing the heavily breathing girl down with as much force as he could muster. They both groaned as inch by painful inch of his length tore into her depths. The friction was so high that it was a miracle he was able to enter her at all. Aside from the tip, his shaft had barely any lubrication, and while Kasumi was aroused, that was nowhere near enough to have been able to take his massive length and girth in her. Yet, somehow it happened.
The duo let out a synchronized groan as his tip bumped against her womb, releasing a massive spurt of pre-cum as the amazing sensations of friction, heat, and tightness around him proved too much. He was gripping her butt so tightly that it was a wonder she wasn't bleeding, and their groins were pressed so close together that had there been any space left inside her, even his balls would have entered the already overstuffed girl. Kasumi shifted slightly after a few moments of letting him settle inside her. It hurt so good as she felt his hot tip poking her womb, she almost wished he could pierce her and actually enter there. From what her mother had told her, it was a rather unpleasant sensation and hurt quite a bit. But Kasumi found herself curious as to what it would feel like to have him so deep inside her.
She winced as she felt sharp claws dig into her delicate skin. She had waited too long and her brother was getting impatient, mentally debating aggravating him further so he would lose control and really take her once his lust overwhelmed him. She found herself wanting him move inside her too much to wait any longer.
The redhead lifted herself just an inch from her brother and gently pressed down. It took quite a bit of her strength to do so, given the lack of lubrication, and she almost screamed as pain shot through her. Naruto's claws left her butt as one of them grabbed her luxurious red locks, while the other molested her breasts, much to her relief as she could now move more freely. The sensations overwhelmed the two for the next few minutes as the redhead used her freedom of movement to almost completely pull herself off him before shoving down powerfully, uncaring of her delicate body as she trusted her healing factor. Naruto didn't know what happened next, and neither did Kasumi. Pleasure overwhelmed him for the next few minutes as the girl's body seemingly lost control and slid on and off him completely. The heat, tightness, and friction, amazing to both of them.
Naruto found himself panting as he rolled them over and pinned the girl down, for her own sake. There was a brief struggle before the smoldering hot lustful eyes of hers gained control once more. He almost couldn't control himself and let his sperm go inside her right then.
Kasumi blinked as she came back from her frenzied state. Her body felt like it was on fire, and a burning hot iron rod was shoved into her as far as it would go. It hurt so much, and yet it felt so good, so satisfying. The combination was so intoxicating that she found herself wanting more. Her wishes were answered as Naruto started pumping into her from above, grinding his body against hers with each thrust. The pain was constantly receding as Naruto's hard, rough thrusts felt almost gentle to the girl. Anyone else would have thought he was being ruthless, but Kasumi had taken much worse and liked it. She arched her back to increase the friction between their bodies and shivered in delight as the sensations intensified. Her brother felt so good inside her she couldn't wait till he flooded her body with his sperm. The blonde half-demon groaned as he kept pumping inside her harder and harder, loving how she seemed to enjoy it as much as him. This was the first time Kasumi had shown him lust, and he loved it. His gaze roamed to her delicate neck that was exposed by her arched back, and he couldn't resist leaning down and taking a love bite. The redhead mewled as she rubbed his back in a comforting manner.
Kasumi bit her lip as she felt her brother's fangs brush against her skin. She knew what was coming next. As expected, within moments a sharp pain entered her senses as his thrusts intensified and his fangs pierced her skin. She felt her energy being drained as her brother drank more and more of her life essence in big gulps.
The half-demon was lost in a world of pleasure, as a combination of delight from drinking the heavenly life essence of his lover, and the overwhelming pleasure from his lower body took all his other senses away. "I'm going to come in you,"
she mewled into his ear. Let it go, Oni-chan."
His thrusts became erratic as boiling hot Yoki-intensified sperm was released inside the girl below him. Her scream was lost in a gasp as it struck her how hot his cream was. Still, her pleasure had been constantly building up despite the pain, and she felt her body tighten even further against his length, stopping the flow of his sperm as the cavity became too tight for him to continue release. The half-demon roared in frustration as he started thrusting harder, cracking the earth beneath them with his thrusts, as the girl whimpered below him as she rode her orgasm. Relief came to him almost a minute later, and so did his senses as Kasumi's body finally relaxed just enough for him to be able to come in her once more. She was still spasming as the aftershocks of her orgasm and Naruto's violent thrusts went through her. The boiling hot cream filling her womb almost felt like a soothing remedy now, and she found herself giggling at how her brother lost control almost every time they had sex, and how she herself had done something so unlike her, and lost control as well. If only for a while.
A serene smile came on her face as she realized her brother had fallen asleep on top of her. It was the first time she had been able to retain consciousness longer than her brother after their bouts of intimacy, and she found herself treasuring the moment as she gazed lovingly at his peaceful face. It was somewhat weird to be certain, since she could still feel the hot rod inside her twitching and releasing more and more of that boiling hot cream she loved.
Perhaps her ability to stay awake came from the need for her to do so, now that they were not within the safety of their compound. Perhaps her brother had enough trust in his instincts to rely on them while he slept, but Kasumi had very little field experience, and as such didn't want to take any risks by falling asleep.
The redhead sighed contentedly as she allowed the feelings surround her, of her brother's heavy body on top of her, his hot shaft twitching inside her, and his fluids boiling in her. The girl groaned as she felt her womb starting to stretch. Gently, she rolled them over and slid off him. A few spurts sprayed her belly and breasts with the demonic sperm before she could get his tip in her mouth, and she almost jumped back at the sheer temperature of the fluids. She could see steam rising from her skin where his sperm had hit her. Focusing on her chakra, she gulped down her brother's semen, tugging on his length for enhancing his pleasure as the sperm on her belly and breasts seemingly sank into her skin. It was a technique she could only perform thanks to her godlike water affinity, intaking any kind of fluid through skin contact and converting it into chakra before letting it flow through her system. With a normal male's sperm, it would be like a very small soldier pill without side effects. Naruto's fluids, however, were poisonous. Kasumi didn't care.
She would treasure the next few hours while Naruto slept. Next morning, Takane found herself feeling an odd sense of jealousy as she watched the sleeping pair of twins from her spot on top of a tree at the edge of the clearing. They made quite a beautiful picture as the gorgeous redhead lay curled up against the rather peaceful-looking blonde. Their nudity and intimate expressions made it almost impossible to believe that they were twins. Yet Takane knew it as a fact. What concerned her, though, was the fact that she was jealous. Of what? It took her a few moments of contemplation before she realized it. Her clan had always treated her like their child, as family. But she never really had a real sibling or parents. The closest anyone came to being real family to her was Yakumo, who was like a little sister to her. But she knew even that was somewhat one-sided, as the clan heiress felt somewhat bitter with the fact that Takane mostly never spent time with her, being busy with Anbu duties to help her clan's status. The brunette grumbled to herself as she silently moved down from her position and stalked as stealthily as she could, till she was right next to the sleeping pair. All things considered, this was a rather lucky situation for her. She had been wondering how to pass the information of her presence to the Uzumaki, and found it almost impossible to do before now.
What are they doing so far away from the bridge builder's house anyway? I never expected to stumble upon them while patrolling. She had taken a completely random route for the regular scouting, just to make sure everything was as expected in the area. While Eiko was a good sensor, her range was limited and could never cover up more than 10% of Nami no Kuni at a time. Given she was in the opposite direction, Takane was confident that her actions right now were out of her radar.
She bit her lip as she slipped the note explaining her situation to them in the clothes lying nearby. And then she leaned down and pressed her soft lips against Naruto's cheek, hoping he wouldn't wake up. She didn't have the confidence to really explain her situation face to face. What would she say? That she's part of a team sent to assassinate his mother? She grimaced as she slowly stepped back, and froze as her soft brown eyes met cold blue. She's been awake all this time? Kasumi's breathing pattern hadn't changed, and her gaze remained unpanicked, cold and calculating as she looked at Takane. She didn't seem to be sure what the girl really weighed, but made no outward movement in favor of not disturbing her brother. Takane decided not to look a gift horse in the mouth, and made a quick exit as silently as she could. At least she wasn't interrogated. Kasumi rubbed her belly once Takane was gone. It kinda hurt, and she knew what that meant. The fuinjutsu over my ovaries that Natsume-chan put to keep me from getting pregnant almost broke, again.
It wasn't the first time. She had to get it fixed almost every 2-3 days. Normally that fuinjutsu was permanent, but Naruto's Yuki intensified sperm seemed to burn it rapidly enough for it to need renewal every 3 days.
I think they'll hold for 2 more sessions. That's good because Anai-chan might be waking up in a few minutes. It's about time. An hour later,
Haku blinked at the scene she had stumbled across. She had been collecting herbs for her master's treatment when she had felt the rather strange fluctuations in chakra nearby and decided to investigate. What she had found had her blushing and wondering if she should take advantage of the situation and get rid of 2 future enemies or just leave and not invade their privacy.
She didn't really know if they were with the Konoha team, but they were definitely shinobi from their chakra levels, so she knew the chances were rather high. The 2 lovers were obviously enjoying the afterglow of lovemaking, if the fluids trickling down the girl's inner thighs were any indication. Both of them had no weapon on them, and seemed defenseless. So Haku was confident she could take care of both of them at once, if she used the element of surprise. Normally, she wouldn't have considered killing them. It wasn't the type of thing she wanted. But her mentor had nearly died. He would have if she hadn't interfered in the nick of time. This wasn't the time for her to be taking chances. She knew Zabuza-sama was too stubborn to leave and let his defeat go unanswered. And if Konoha had reinforcements helping their current team, her master's life was going to be in danger, even if they both went completely prepared. Silently, 2 senbans slipped into her hand from the long sleeves of her kimono, and a grim expression crossed her face as she shushed right in front of the 2 lovers.
Forgive me, but it must be done for my precious person. Unexpectedly, the 2 of them seemed not only unsurprised by her sudden appearance, but also unfazed by her threat. She didn't ponder on it though, and let the senbans fly to the point in their necks where she knew would kill them.
Much to her surprise, an invisible shield seemed to have stopped her senbans before she found herself trapped in a sphere of water. A water prison, but
she saw no one holding and maintaining the sphere, and the 2 in front of her still hadn't moved. Then the pressure around her increased and Haku found herself wondering if she would be crushed to death like this. Her resolve hardened as she started freezing the water around her. Whoever was controlling the water was an expert, she couldn't move it. But if it was ice, no one but her could control it. The pressure seemed to have stopped immediately as the red-haired girl in front of her seemed to blink in surprise and the faintest hint of awe, along with the boy. Within moments the sphere broke apart into shards of ice as Haku started going through the one-handed seals of her ice technique.
Wait, Kasumi, don't kill her. That's when Haku realized with a sense of dread that a water blade had been inches from her neck, in the short time it took her to form the hand seals. These 2, they're way beyond my level. They might even give Zabuza-sama a challenge. I need to use the demonic ice mirrors to kill them. Her actions were stopped when the blonde unexpectedly held up his hands to calm her down. Whatever you're planning, don't bother. We don't want to kill you, so just listen. Haku found herself cautiously obeying. She wasn't completely confident if her strategy would have worked, and if possible she would prefer to get out of here alive so she could tend to Zabuza's wounds. If she died here, her master's chances of survival were close to none. I'm Uzumaki, Naruto. And this is Uzumaki Kasumi. What's your name? And what's someone like you doing in Nami no Kuni? Haku hesitated for a moment before deciding to answer with a half-truth. I'm Haku, and I was just collecting some medical herbs for an injured friend. I thought you were here to kill him too since he was attacked by shinobi a while ago. The redhead seemed to view her suspiciously while the blonde's gaze was somewhat more welcoming and accepting. Naruto nodded. I see, you're clearly a kunoichi, and given the description by Kakashi's team, you're likely Zabuza's accomplice. Haku winced. She hadn't wanted them to be able to figure that out, but knew that it was rather likely, unless they were ignorant. Actually, I'm a boy. And please, I beg you to let me leave. I don't want to fight you. I may not look like it, but I'm sure I can kill at least one of you before I die, so I don't think you should want to fight me either.
Kasumi frowned at her words but didn't say anything, letting her brother handle the situation. She had decided to use Naruto's cloak to cover herself up once Haku mentioned that he was a boy. Her clothes had been torn in their activities last night, but she didn't feel comfortable letting a boy see her like that. Naruto didn't seem to care about her declaration a whole lot, but nodded nonetheless. Unlike his sister, he seemed to have no intention of covering his nudity. The blush on Haku's face had Kasumi questioning the boy's alignment. That, or he, was really shy.
I expected as much, but you should know that regardless of if you leave or not, Zabuza is going to die if he fights against our sensei. She's a lot stronger than the guy your master fought before. He doesn't stand a chance. Why not join us? If it's money you're fighting for, I can offer you more. Besides, you won't be getting anything even if you complete your mission. Your employer is dead. Haku gaped at him in shock. He had just told her that the business tycoon who could buy out whole countries, who was supposed to pay them, was dead. This meant that her mentor had no reason to fight anymore.
She winced as soon as that thought processed through her head. That wouldn't go as planned. Zabuza was too prideful to let his defeat go unanswered. He would surely complete his mission no matter what.
I will tell that to Zabuza-sama. Can I go now? Naruto seemed to hum in thought for a while before giving her a firm nod. Yes, you can leave.
Haku wasted no more time as she used a shunshin to move away as far as possible. She could collect the herbs from somewhere else, where the risk was lower.
Kasumi looked at her brother in confusion once the ice user was gone. Why not just capture him on Ede-chan?
Naruto smiled. First, she was a girl, I can tell from her scent. Unless he rubbed girls' vaginal fluids all over the body to mask it, which would have made the scent too strong, and that clearly wasn't the case. Second, I could have, but we're looking for allies and Zabuza would be useful. We don't need him, but if he decides to be smart, then there's no harm in taking him in, is there?
The redhead tilted her head, wondering why someone would want to hide their gender like that. It seemed rather unfruitful to her, but she didn't care too much about it. If that's what you want, Anime-chan. Tekane-san left you a note, by the way. It's in your clothes. Naruto blinked. That earned the girls some points, to have taken the risk of being found out by her team to warn them. Ah, Kay, that was nice of her. There was a pause as the redhead hesitated with her words. Auntie-chan. Yes? The water. She took control of it.
Naruto raised an eyebrow. The awe in her voice wasn't missed. Is that so shocking? The redhead bit her lip as she looked at him nervously. It's been a while since even Ka-chan has been able to do it. So I was just surprised. Only she was able to take water away from me, and that hasn't happened for more than a year now either. And that girl. The blonde sighed. Having a permanently active dojutsu made it so he never missed any details, even if it came at a time he wasn't prepared for it. As such, he knew exactly what happened. Don't fuss over it, Kasumi. You're looking at it the wrong way. That girl can't take water away from your control, she simply changed it into ice, which you have no control over. For someone with the Hyoten Kekkei Genkei, water users are easy pickings. But I'm sure you've learned more than just water manipulation, and you're on a different level from her, so it's okay. Kasumi frowned sheepishly. Actually, Oni-chan, I've only really paid attention to Suiten Ninjutsu and Fuinjutsu, she mumbled the next part, and I use water to form seals.
Naruto gaped. Ka-chan let you get away with that unbalanced skill set. I thought those were just your preferred styles. Not the only ones you knew.
I do spar with Natsumi-chan, and my summons train me in some stuff.
I know you haven't been slacking off during the years I've been away. And this surely explains your extreme skill in Jikshiken F Injutsu. But over-specializing can be a bad thing too. You know. The redhead gave him a sheepish grin as he grumbled to himself. She's definitely highly skilled with what she can do, but to limit herself like this, she's pretty much screwed without water. Given she can make it out of her chakra, there are still people out there like Haku, and not to mention Raiten ninjutsu users. You will fix this.
Kasumi giggled as she gave him a salute. Aye, sir. A smile graced Naruto's face as he looked up at the passing clouds. Hyoten, what a truly fascinating concept. If someone faster was wielding it, Kasumi would be completely at their mercy. I must learn it, if only to discover its secrets.
No, Haku. This changes nothing. But, Zabuza-sama, they're really strong.
She flinched as her mentor's cold gaze turned on her. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to question you, but we won't gain anything by taking this risk, so I thought.
It doesn't matter what you think, he snapped, then continued in a softer tone. I have worked under someone before, and it was a complete disaster. After all that, I'll never work under someone else again. No matter what. You're too young to understand this now, Haku, but someday you will.
The two of them were silent for a while before Zabuza grunted. Besides, a white-haired bitch came asking me about that damn Kakashi and his team. I knew of these new people already, but it doesn't matter. There are others on Gato's side, and I wouldn't trust a random Konoha shinobi's words so easily. We have no way of knowing for sure, but Gato is probably still alive.
Haku could only frown grimly as she continued dressing her mentor's wounds, hoping everything would turn out in their favor in the end. Can you?